So, hello, I am Jean-Dominique Seval, founding director of Soon Consulting, and I have the great honor to moderate this panel dedicated to French entrepreneurs at the forefront of innovation. So, gentlemen, welcome to this special session of the GMIC Live 2020, organized with the support of FrenchTech Beijing. La FrenchTech, in few words, is a French startup scene, and here in Beijing, the FrenchTech Hub promotes the best of French national technology. This month, for instance, just an example, France has been listed at the top of the World Economic Forum ranking of the World Digital Riser. So, a great news for the French innovators. So, it's my pleasure to welcome today's three prestigious speakers from three amazing companies. John Cherky, founder and CEO of Content Square. Thank John to be with us from New York. And good evening, John.
Good evening. Very happy to be with you today.
Julian Corbett, President Asia Pacific of Voodoo from Singapore. Hi, Julian.
Great to be here. Thank you for having us.
And Bruno Germain, CEO and General Manager of Orange Labs in Beijing. Good morning, Bruno.
Hello, good morning, good evening. Pleasure to be with you.
Thanks, Bruno. So let's get started. John, first question for you. Content Square is a digital experience analytics platform trusted by more than 700 enterprise customers worldwide, including 30% of the global fortune. In May 2020, you announced a $190 million Series D, bringing total investment in the company to over $310 million. A big deal. So, John, could you tell us why Content Square is so special and how you became the latest French unicorn?
So thanks for this introduction. First, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we do. And to do this, I will use a little comparison. So let's imagine a physical store. In a shop, you know who is coming, who is leaving, who is buying. You don't know exactly what they are doing in the store, but you can see and you can feel. Online, you are totally blind. And to answer this topic, we develop a technology that is collecting every mouse movement, every touch, to understand why someone is doing something and why does a user leave a website. And we provide automatic recommendation for e-merchandising, content, pricing, analytics to improve the customer journey. Our goal is to develop the conversion rate and the revenue. I think we were lucky on some point because our market is increasing. For a long time, the best way to improve online sales was acquisition. Make more people come to the website. Google with the search or Salesforce with CRM. But the cost of acquisition is now very high. The traffic is on, the conversion rate is low. Amazon is a king. So improving experience, online experience is more and more important. We have developed a great technology with a lot of patents, collecting every day 10,000 of data to understand user experience. The growth of the company has been over 200% in 2019. We are a global category leader. We are pretty good in M&A. We acquired 2 companies in 2019 and more to come in 2020. And at the end, I think we have a fantastic culture and people to achieve this vision, to bring insight for all and to improve online experience.
Okay, thanks, John. Very, very clear. So I jump to Julian. Julian, Voodoo is a French video game developer and publisher established in 2013. And now, Voodoo is the largest gaming application publisher in the world with almost 4 billion downloads. 4 billion, that's right. Please tell us more about Voodoo, Julian.
Hi, great to be here and great to meet you all. Indeed, Voodoo is one of these amazing companies that many people may not have heard of. But we do a lot of downloads and have a lot of reach. So, just to give you an idea, if you're to take all of the downloads that Netflix does and add to that all of the downloads of Zoom plus Spotify, add in Snap, and let's throw in a big one like Instagram, you take all of those combined, we do more installs. And so the reach that Voodoo has is quite extraordinary. And so where does this reach come from? It comes from the fact that Voodoo pioneered a genre in gaming called hyper-casual. And what hyper-casual is creating these delightful short experiences that have a very broad audience. It goes beyond the traditional borders of what one thinks of as gamers. And these are games like Helix Jump or Crowd City or recently Scribble Rider. And the system that Voodoo created is this magical mix between human insight and guidance through our publishing team, along with big data and testing and knowing how to optimize games to create the widest audience. And we just have a very simple mission in mind. It is entertain the world. And from the very start, Voodoo thought of how we could reach people around the world with these digital experiences and have been very successful at it.
Okay, we will come back to have more detail on this success. Just for this introduction, I come to Bruno. So Bruno, now Orange is the leading French telecom operator, a famous one, but more than that, Orange is a leader in numerous countries outside France, which is quite unusual when telecom operators are generally leaders at home only. Could you share with us some key facts regarding Orange?
Okay, so yeah, effectively, Orange is a big one among the top operator in the world. So not only operating on the French market with the historical France Telecom or Post and Telecommunication background, let's say. Now it's 27 countries where Orange is operating as a mobile network operator, but not only. We do operate mobile, but we do also operate fixed, variety of network, in fact, going from fixed, copper, 5G, 4G, and also low bandwidth network like LoRa or NB-IoT or Category M and all those kind of network. So it's a multi-operator network. But what makes us different, aside of the fact that we are operating in many countries, is also because we are not only operator, but we have a multi-service company at some point. So we own a bank. So we have some financial banking service in Europe. We do have Orange Money for Africa. We are also producing, editing, distributing content. We are also very active on all data, AI with cyber defense type of services. Not only, we have also some strong hardware equipment, as we do have some submarine cable, and we have the boats to deploy them and so on. So Orange is somehow a multi-player, multi-actor, multi-service provider in those 27 countries. And one of the reasons also to go abroad and it's to be at scale, because today, if you want to address this ecosystem and to be as vocal as could be our competitor or partners, we need to be big. And Orange today, it's 250 million customer in the region we operate. And Orange, it's also Orange Business Services. And here we are operating services mainly for connectivity and for cloud services in close than 200 countries worldwide.
Okay, thanks. It's clear. So you are billionaire in millionaire in clients, and some of you are billionaires in terms of download. So it's quite impressive. So John, I come back to you to understand more about to know more about Content Square. Content Square, I think, was born in a small attic in Paris. So a beautiful story. And before expanding to the rest of Europe, the US, and now Asia. Could you tell me more about your interest in the Chinese market? Chinese market, well known to be a mobile-first country.
Yeah,
Sorry, I switched.
We anticipated this move towards mobile usage and developed Square as a mobile analytics technology, on web, mobile, and app. So first we developed it in Paris, then Europe, then US, and now Asia is the next big step for us. We have an office in Tokyo. We recently opened our Singapore office, and we're super excited to prepare our Chinese development, working on it now to be there in 2021. Personally, I'm super curious to learn more about the Chinese culture and tech markets, and look forward to meet amazing partners that can support us in this project. When we move fast. I love to say, where there is a will, there is a way. We will be there soon.
Okay, so I think so. The message is on the way. So regarding the China, Julian, Vodoo has achieved the dream to build a global business from France, and what is quite exceptional is without having teams outside France at the beginning. So could you share the secret with us?
I think it's really interesting. Both what Jonathan has been saying and Bruno is these global French tech companies are ones that have, from the very start, thought beyond their borders. In fact, just this week, our founder and CEO, Alex Yazdi, was invited to the Élysée and had a presentation to President Macron. And this was very much the topic, is saying the magic of digital and these platforms is that literally we can go from something that is a game concept to a game that is charting #1 in 100 countries in a matter of a month. And the very DNA of Vodoo has been from the start to think globally. And we have never, I think, France is 3% of our revenue. So the vast majority of everything that we do is outside of France and, in fact, outside of Europe. Japan is top 2 country for us, and the US is #1. So we've really, from the very beginning as a company, been thinking globally, creating these entertainment experiences for the world. And really the secret around this is how you go about in terms of the processes that you put in place and the approach to creating this content and delivering this content. Think globally from day one.
It's very impressive to achieve this kind of deployments and so fast and so globally. So, Bruno, what are the main range R&D and innovation priorities for the coming years? It's important for us to understand what is your main priorities, and if Orange has also to adapt these priorities due to the COVID-19 turmoil, because there is certainly a before and an after of the pandemic, even if it's not over. But what you arrange your priority regarding this situation?
So as R&D is concerned, and as explained, as we are operating in many fields of technology, somehow we have a various panel of technology that we need to address. So one which is essential to the future is, of course, the 5G. So currently we are working a lot on deploying 5G, but not only the deployment itself, but also what we're going to do with 5G, because that's remained a key question for many of the actors around the ecosystem. Being in China is very helpful because Chinese deploy as a high speed here, and we can see a few applications popping up. So it's really good to see what is happening here. Aside of 5G, whatever is related to AI and data is very important. So Jonathan and Julian won't say the reverse. Somehow it's the future of the way we're going to operate the network, is the future of the way we can be efficient, is the future of the way we can be greenish. That's also a key priority for Orange, and part of the engagement that was announced by our CEO, Stéphane Richard, being responsible. The green part of it is key. And again, here in China, as they are facing massively the deployment of 5G and all those new technology, the responsible element of it is very, very interesting to be observed from here in China. It's also about what we call edge computing. You know that as more you're going to have a device connected somehow to a given network, if when you want to bring the processing power to the device, it has a cost. And if somehow you want to reduce those costs or optimize those costs, the edge function in the network as something that are very key for the technical and functionality part of the promise, but not only for us operator. It's a way somehow to regain some value on the value chain of the network to the device and not to be suffering too much somehow from the OTT presence that somehow it's capturing most of the value as we speak today. So having edge computing back in our network is a way to have new keys to create value for us operators. So that's also a priority for the year to come. And one which is very important for us as we are operating in Africa and in the Middle East, those regions have low purchasing power. So somehow to make sure that we can increase the inclusion and increase the number of people accessing internet and the digital world, we need somehow to work heavily on research and development to lower down as much we can the cost of the device in those regions. And this is also something that we are working very heavily here in China in relationship with the Chinese vendor, the OS provider like KaiOS, which is delivering a very good promise for those type of devices and addressing those markets.
Okay, it's clear. So you learn a lot about your different geography, and so that's interesting. John, to come back to you at Content Square. Content Square, it's interesting to note that your customers span a broad range of industries, including retail, finance, telecom, and tech. Could you explain your value proposition and take time to explain clearly, because it's interesting for us to understand your value proposition, and perhaps by sharing with us one or two customer case studies?
So, with COVID, there is definitely an acceleration of digitalization of the world, meaning all verticals are now investing in digital, and they all want to understand and optimize their digital customer experience. Everything is happening online. Our job is to improve the customer journey, to measure the content efficiency. So let me give you one or two examples. Let's take a website. There are a lot of contents. No one is clicking on the text. No one is clicking on the images. So it's hard to measure their efficiency. Content Square technology is helping to measure the engagement, the revenue generated by each asset, to tell you, you should keep this image, this one you should remove and put this content. And at the end, it's a question of data. You will have, let's say, 3% of conversion rate on a slideshow. But you don't care and you don't know if 3% of conversion rate is good or not. You will know by comparison of the market. Our technology is able to compare every asset to the world to tell you if you are good or not in your industry. And based on the fact that we are collecting every touch, swipe, zoom on a mobile, we are able to detect any kind of errors. By tracking the user interaction, we understand the friction, and we automatically tell you which element you should change on your checkout, for example, to improve the efficiency of online sales. So that's typically the kind of recommendation provided by our software to prioritize what you should optimize.
So I understand also, regarding what you say, you don't need to collect private information from users, from customers. That's right. So you have a different relation regarding private life.
Yeah, that's a very important point. I think that if we're analyzing the evolution of the world, privacy is a very important topic. Mm-hmm. That's always decided to not collect any personal information. And we will invest more and more in the future to accelerate this trend, because I think it's important for all the people, for the customer, for the consumer, but also for ourselves as a value.
And so, can you give us one or two sample of case study, like one or two of your customer, what they do with your technology? Can you give us an example?
Yeah, but let's take a customer like Tiffany in luxury. They want to understand which content they should push on their website, which one is engaging. Let's take another customer in telco or banking. They would like to identify any kind of error experience. Someone is clicking a lot on a field, not working. So we help them to identify all the improvements of their website to boost the conversion.
Okay, so and they have a return very fast. Their results, it's a measure in terms of increase of sales. What is your
so for e-commerce websites, we are measuring the additional revenue we are generating. For the company who are driving more subscription, same. Okay. For those who like to measure the content, so we identify bug, we reduce the cost of content by identifying which one are working or not, and we improve online sales. In average, we are improving the online revenue of our customer between 20 to 30%.
Okay, it's clear. Okay, thanks. It's very interesting. Julian, to come back to Vodoo. Now, Vodoo seems to see growth opportunities in creating a hub in Asia. So you are based in Singapore, and you have also a presence in China already. I think so. From your point of view, what are the specificities for you of the Asian market comparing to others, and what you want to achieve here in China?
When I was talking earlier about our approach in terms of thinking global from day one, this is true for everything that is user acquisition, distribution of our games, monetization of our games. We have tools that enable us to manage the world. But at the very start, I told you that the magic of Vodoo is this combination between this digital data-based and process approach, along with a very important human element. And at the start, you need ideas and you need talent that is creating games. So Vodoo has a number of internal studios that have produced many of our biggest hits, but we work with many, many developers around the world. And the approach that Vodoo has that is different from just about anybody in the market is that we don't look to publish games, we look for talent and we look for studios. Sometimes this is just a couple of people or even a single person. And what we do is that we teach them how to develop hyper-casual games successfully. We coach them weekly in terms of thinking through their ideas, helping them optimize their experience. And when the game is ready and when we think this can be a hit, then we scale that on a global basis. And so a lot of what we do has been indeed centered from France and managing the world. But the one important element is also finding this talent where it is. And there is so much talent here in Asia when it comes to gaming. And so really one of the key directions that the company took is looking at the growth opportunities in the APAC region and China in particular. And for that, it is around setting teams of people that are able to work with all of the incredible developer talent that is in this country. And there are some specific elements to the gaming market in APAC that means that we can do even better with our games. That requires better localization, better adaptation, better distribution, creating the right kind of partnerships throughout the region. So it's a really very important step in the history of Vodoo. It's one where we see huge growth opportunity. We've already seen it even since we have started setting up the APAC initiative. And that is really one of the more exciting chapters of our growth story, is getting much deeper into the opportunities of APAC, getting to work much closer with all of the incredible talent that exists here, and finding new content and new ways of delivering this content that can carry on our mission of entertaining the world.
Okay, your team is based in Beijing or in different countries in China?
Yeah, so we have, we're still in the process of setting up all of our teams in China, but it's going to be headquartered in Shanghai, and we have some team members in Beijing already.
Okay. Just a more personal question. What are your game of the period of the month? What are your best game, perhaps worldwide, but also perhaps there is some difference between China and the rest of the world, or Asia and the rest of the world, in terms of key games and success? What are the games I have to know and to play?
Really good question. Actually, what we tend to see is that global hits are global, and they really do work everywhere. And so, but you do have preferences. So we had a game called Crowd City that we launched a year and a half ago, almost 2 years now, and this was a massive hit in China. It just went viral, and everybody jumped on this game, and China ended up representing a much larger share of the global success of that game than it typically does on some other games. But it was a very successful game globally. If you take big games like Aquapark, Paper.io, Helix Jump, what we tend to see is that these games have a real global appeal. So when we do a lot of our testing of games in the US. We test hundreds of prototypes, literally hundreds of prototypes every month. And what we tend to see is that when these games are performing incredibly well, i.e. we get very, very high install rates on these games and great retention. People like to stay on these games and come back on these games. That is the surest indicator that this game will work incredibly well in South Africa, in Middle East, in Japan, and really across the world. Having said that, as I mentioned earlier, one of the reasons that we are here in APAC is that there are some specific gaming habits coming from Asia, where Asia is often at the emerging side, creating the new trends, especially when it comes to the way in-app purchases are done. And we feel that this is, again, a real growth opportunity. So we're also here to learn. We're here to help bring Asia talent to the rest of the world. And we are here also to help improve and think ahead in terms of what the new trends in gaming are. One of the big initiatives of Voodoo that has been announced is that we are moving into casual games. And so the difference between hyper-casual and casual games is basically games that have longer lifetime to them, where the storylines are deeper, there is more metagame, there is more reasons for people to want to level up and carry on with those games. We feel we have a very unique approach in this genre, which is because we know the gameplays that work so incredibly well. And we do have insights on a per country basis, as you said. We do see some differences, some types of gameplays that work particularly well in Asia. That gives us the opportunity to create some casual games, leveraging our know-how on the gameplay side, and build in all of the best expertise from around the world in terms of how you create games that have a somewhat deeper experience. And so I think our view is really the combination of both of these things is how we win for the future.
Yeah, certainly. Yes, it's an amazing amount of experience, data, and so rare. So Bruno, since Orange has set up already an important team in China, many years ago. So you are in China so long time. What was the original purpose and what are the main goals now of your presence here in China?
Mm-hmm. So in fact, Orange has a long history with China because as a telco operator, somehow we've been in relationship with the ecosystem and with the Chinese operator for some years, because at some point it's mandatory that we can share somehow some of the standards if we want this service to be interoperable across the countries. But since, I will say 20 years ago, we have clearly seen China growing in those aspects. And I think as initially for many foreigner enterprise coming to China, the promise of the next billion customer was the dream for many, many of us. Okay, so I think it was important that we could set up something here in China. But not only, when you look at the relationship with Orange with China, we do purchase a lot from China. When we need to purchase network equipment, fiber, mobile devices, and all those kind of things, at the end of the day, the value of it is few billions dollars that every year Orange is spending with Chinese actors. Mm-hmm. So somehow it was important that we could be close to them from this perspective. And looking also at the growth of those players here in China, we did realize that on the telco industry, ICT industry, that they were performing very well, that they were becoming quite innovative, creative, and so on. And somehow it was also necessary to be closer to them in that aspect, as we could also benefit from their creativity, from their knowledge growth, and so on. And so the reason to have R&D activity close to this ecosystem was somehow necessary. So 15 years ago, close to 15 years ago now, the lab, the Beijing lab was set up here in China. And then, as we have been foreseeing also many other Chinese player, but also foreigner company established in China and needed some connectivity back somehow to international. This is where OBS also has been playing a role somehow to be able to make some business with those entities and to sell back connectivity for all those companies that need somehow connectivity outside of the Chinese border. So we have big customers like Huawei, like Alibaba, those guys that need to connect to the rest of the world. So all this together, when looking at the evolution of the ICT ecosystem here in China, it's been growing very fast, very quick. And so now the purpose, I will say, aside of the commercial aspect of it, which is always of interest to the company to make profit and revenue, is also to learn more from this ecosystem and from the way Chinese are addressing somehow those technology, deploying them, and so on. And today, the main function of the research and development here in Beijing is to be as close as possible to this ecosystem, to set up some partnership with the key actor, but also with some small startup, to learn from how regarding the way they deploy, regarding new business model, new use case, new usages, and so on, and somehow to see how it makes sense for Orange to partner with some player or to replicate some of what we see here happening in China to our geography, to be also super vigilant regarding the new technology, the disruption they can address, and so on. And when you look at AI, all the data and all those things, what is happening in China at the moment is very striking, and we can see also the limit of those new technologies, how to be more responsible towards that, and so on. The main goal here in China, as we speak, is really to understand the way the market grows and what we do could benefit in our job.
Yes, you speak about the interest in the startup and the innovation here in China. You have, I think so, I quite remember, a specific program for startup. I think so. In the both sense from China and for France, and you try to establish also a link between them.
Exactly, yeah. So having this, I will say, privileged relationship with many players here, So somehow the idea is to identify startups that we foresee growing here in China, but not only in China. We are also looking at Korea, we are looking at Japan, we are looking at Taiwan, and somehow those startups that we can identify is to have them pitched, and if we see any opportunities somehow for potential growth and interest back in our geographies, that we can invite them somehow to join some major event back in France, for example, and vice versa. When we have French startup, where we foresee could have interest to deploy their technology, their services here in China, we also invite them to come here in Beijing. We're organizing some pitch session with some actor of the ecosystem and so on. So during the past few years, through this what we call Orange Fab program, I think we have been working, identifying, and having relationship with more than 500 startups in this kind of ecosystem. Yeah.
Yes, it's massive. So very, very interesting. And directly in relation with what we try to achieve also through the French tech movement. So John, I come back to you and to Content Square. Just to know, Content Square is a global leader in digital experience analytics, so we understand that. In which technologies are you investing for the coming years? What is your interest? What you want to push now?
So, we have 200 people today in R&D that are driving a super ambitious roadmap. And we are also investing a lot in M&A to faster. So to do that, we think that our goal is to have a full understanding of human behavior with the respect of privacy. With Content Square, we were initially focused on customer journey, content analytics. In the recent acquisition we did, we were more focused on pricing analytics, product analytics, and the next trend where we are putting more and more energy are video analytics, voice analytics, image analytics, performance and loading analytics, to be able to connect the dots of the dimension to have a full understanding of why someone is doing something and how we can really understand what we should do with a full data understanding based on all the AI we are developing internally.
Okay, it's certainly a very good thing because, in China, a very specific and inspiring movement, development for the rest of the world is the amazing development of short video to support commerce and e-commerce. So I think so you are just in the right place to analyze this movement, which is very massive in China. So you just mentioned at the end of your speech the term of AI. So in your domains, in analytics, I am a bit surprised because the term artificial intelligence arrived at the beginning of the presentation. You just mentioned it just now. You can just tell me why it's important. I think so, I guess. But how you integrate AI in your model?
So that's a good point about the video. It's important for us to understand why something in the video is performing, why it's capturing the attention of the people. And about AI, as we are collecting a lot of data, it's important to learn from all this data, to learn from the market, to learn from the changes that the customer is doing on the website, and to be able to definitely AI is important. It's pretty a buzzword today to think about AI everywhere. What we try is really to develop concrete technologies that in one click everyone can leverage, and through the time insert piece of AI everywhere to make the job of our customers better and better, easier and easier for everyone.
Okay, so you can develop your business and become a unicorn without make AI a buzzword. So it's a good news also.
Yeah, we try to do so, but we try also to invest on the artificial intelligence to make something cool. It takes time. It comes with a lot of investment. But I am super confident that of our industry and more generally for the future of the world in our industries.
Okay, it's clear. Thanks. Julian, Vodoo has, it's a big news because Vodoo has recently announced an investment from Tencent. So a big thing here. What do you expect from this partnership?
Tencent is a very special company in the world of gaming, as I'm sure you know. Not only what they do internally, but also how they have grown through partnerships, how they've grown through investments, whether it be Riot, Epic, Supercell, just to name, a few of the hundreds of investments that Tencent has done in gaming. And I think Tencent has become incredibly good at leveraging and helping grow companies that they invest in the world of gaming. And we occupy a very unique, special place in this world of gaming, which we dominate in our category of hyper-casual. And for us, this is really the perfect combination. One of our key priorities is growing China market. We've done very well on certain games, but we feel there is huge potential still to grow in China. And it's a very complex market, as you know well, and really benefiting from the insights of Tencent, we feel is going to help accelerate our growth, better adapt and deliver our games for the market. Obviously, as part of Tencent, there is Wechat, which has its very unique, incredible reach that has a very good match in terms of audience for what we do in hyper-casual, because we're very broad and we think beyond gamers. And so we are incredibly excited about this partnership. We have already started working with the teams at Tencent, and we feel that it's going to unlock many, many insights, many growth opportunities, really incredibly strong execution within China that is very important for us, but really benefits for our business around the world. And I think that their track record speaks for itself in terms of how smartly they invest in companies and help them grow.
Yes, we will follow this very, very high interest because it's the beginning of this partnership. So it will be interesting to learn what you have achieved thanks to that. It's very interesting to hear you three of you, because you have very different experience from Asia. Orange since so many years, Vodoo, now you enter in the game very fast and with the help of Tencent, and Content Square is the beginning of this history, but there is a lot of experience to share, and I think so it will be interesting to follow after this session as a discussion. But Bruno,
I'm losing you, Jean-Dominique.
Since you have been living in Beijing, hello?
Yes.
Okay, it's come back. My connection is quite not very stable. So since Bruno, since you have been living in Beijing, scouting digital trends and the innovation here, what are the main surprises you would like to share with us, knowing that the fact that now everybody knows that China is now a land of innovations. So it's interesting to have your feedback on this.
Yep. There are so many, Dominique, so many of them, so we need to pick a few of them. So for me, from a personal experience, aside of the activity and the work that we do here in Beijing, in China, I think the digital payment is something which is quite amazing here in China. So somehow banknotes are nearly disappearing. I have not seen a banknotes for years now, and somehow it's super convenient. You can go everywhere. You can pay with digital payment anywhere, anytime, wherever you are in China. You can go into the end of the smallest village after a ride on the Great Wall, and if you want to buy cherry on the side of the road, you can pay with digital solution with your mobile. So that's just amazing. It is the life. It's the super cool from a tool somehow to encourage payment and so on. One of the things which is very amazing also is how fast AI is deployed here in China and how fast you can find a use case all over the place already. Coming back to digital experience again, through your mobile, in every, I would say, commercial site now, you have this picture recognition function. You take a picture of an object and automatically it pop up the object, where you can buy it, what are the best deals, and so on and so forth. It's available on every type of application. It's just amazing the way it works, how fast it is, and how accurate it is at some point. Face recognition is something that is deployed heavily all over China. Controversial or not controversial, ethical or not ethical, but from an AI perspective, a technical success is just amazing. Wechat, Julien was mentioning Wechat, this type of super app here in China, which is really, really amazing regarding what it does, what service it delivers, how quick, how easy it is to use. You do everything within Wechat. The usage of mobile here in China, 75% of the mobile usage is done within the Wechat application. So it's just amazing, you know. So they are capturing all the value somehow that I was mentioning earlier regarding the usage of the telcos here. They have the Wechat Work Suite now, which we are using here in our company, which is also amazing regarding what you can do with it. The platform is very open in the sense that somehow in this Wechat Work environment, you can have access to API, you can create your own modules, own application that you include in this environment. It's very, very efficient. And when we say that means what is very, very impressive here in China is the scalability of all those solutions. So that means when you have 1 billion active users every day on the platform, and this is just robust and no bug. I've been here for the past 3 years using this every day, every single minute, you know. I've been here for the past 3 years using this every day, every single minute, you know. Tracking, which is far from the technology, is this. So this is just a fruit, okay? So it's an apple, okay, but it's a fruit. The cost of it here in Beijing, okay, this apple, okay, if you go to a regular market, not going to high-end supermarket, is close to €1 for one apple, okay? And it's a good price. This is just amazing as well. How much expensive could be life in those countries where somehow the digital is such as a peak somehow, and that basic needs for the population remain very expensive. So I just have an only hope, and this is where somehow we believe that responsible green technology somehow could help in the future somehow to cost down what is essential to the population at the end, beside the gaming, beside the telecommunication and so on. At the end, it's food. And this somehow is very striking here in China, because somehow the cost of the food is just increasing day after day after day. Day after day, they have more food in their plate if you compare to the rest of the world. But day after day, this is coming very rare and very precious. So hopefully, thanks to AI, we will be able to better monitor the agriculture, the transportation value chain, the distribution channel, and to avoid the waste and so on. And at some point, 1 kg of those apples currently are more expensive than 1 month's telecommunication with a 30 gigabyte tariff plan.
Thanks,
so
Bruno,
that's quite.
Thanks to share your thoughts and to make a link between an Apple and AI. It was quite surprising but very interesting, and certainly definitively there is so much things to learn about digital China. So thanks, Bruno, and thanks all of you. That concludes our session today. Many thanks, gentlemen, John and Julian and Bruno, for your time. And many thanks again to the GMIC team for this opportunity. We will follow with highest interest the next steps of your deployments, all of you, deployments worldwide, and of course in China too. I hope to meet you in Paris, some of you in New York perhaps, and as soon as possible perhaps in Beijing for the 2021 edition of GMIC. And of course, take good care of yourself. Goodbye.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot.